midseason All-Pro team was released by NFL.com, and the two running backs on there are Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey. I can make a case for Christian McCaffrey, and I probably can make a case for Dalvin Cook, but I would think that they would have had McCaffrey and Fournette as the two backs, one in the AFC, one in the AFC. So he got snubbed. It was brought up, how much better does he have to be in the second half? Right. I think it has a lot to do with the offensive line, which, as we talked about, there's nothing up the middle for him. There are problems in the interior of the line where he's basically just getting stonewalled when he's running up the middle. Most of his larger gains of 8 yards or more are on the left side between the tackle and the guard. And by the way, I think that Andrew Norwell has played much better this year against the run than he has the pass. They need to improve that line. They need to do something to get him more carries up the middle that are successful. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Oh, you're good.
What do you think has been their problems with the run game? I mean, on defense. I mean, like I said, they have a lot of rushing touchdowns. It's their rush defense is 17th of 32 teams, so safe to say below average.
I think on the rush defense, the injury to Marcel Darius has been huge.
Oh yeah,
and the fact that when they're getting to the second level, Miles Jack just to me isn't a real middle linebacker. He plays great in space. He's speedy, but to me he is not. He's not Paul Preslezni. He's not. He's a little light. And they've been decimated by injuries up the middle as well. And they've been rotating linebackers in and out. And it also shows that, to a degree, they miss Telvin Smith. Not as much as people might think here in Jacksonville, but there's cohesion. There's cohesion in a unit, and you know that when players play together, that they play better together. I think that's missing too.
So let's go back to Fournette. Okay, obviously.
Okay.
We talked about the better running.
I'm talking back and forth. I'm volleying back and forth. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
There's nothing wrong with interacting a lot of different ways because obviously we know the fact that you and I cover the team pretty much full time. I know what I see in front of me. You know what you see in front of you. There's no doubt about that. So let's talk about the fact that the Jaguars need to establish a better running scheme up the middle because obviously we already said that Fournette is a good east-west runner.
Right. I think that the defensive strategy against Jacksonville still holds true. Because they knew that Minshew was a quarterback, they were still stacking seven up front, 8 up front in the box to try and stop Fournette, and it proved at times to be effective, and at times it didn't. There's got to be a better run blocking scheme where they're able to free him up. Give him a crease. He doesn't need a huge hole. He's a big back, and as you know, we talked about it, he's a north-south runner. Give him a small crease, at least just something so he can move through it. They're not even able to do that on the interior of the line.
Right. Well,
which means that that's something they would look at possibly in the draft as well.
Right.
Somebody for the interior line.
Well, I mean, you already said the offensive line needs work because they're mainly geared toward pass protection, but the running game, Fournette, I tell you what, the more I see Leonard Fournette, the more that I'm really, really, really impressed with him. I really am. I mean, and you're talking about a guy here who has covered the NFL for like a lot of years, since 82. I've been spoiled with covering Barry Sanders and a lot of good running backs through the years. And this Fournette, to me, I'm more and more impressed when this guy's got his head on straight. To me, Jacksonville's lucky to have this guy.
I'm going to throw this out there real quick. Did you ever think that halfway through the season we'd be discussing the idea of maybe Leonard Fournette staying around after 4 years and not discussing Jalen Ramsey getting a new contract?
Nice thought, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, the Jalen Ramsey thing is what it is. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'll still be curious down the road to see how it plays out. But I think there's some good stories developing in Jacksonville that few people outside of that area that we know of are still to be told. And if the Jacksonville Jaguars can get in the playoffs, because you were talking about this earlier, okay, let's look a little bit at the rest of their schedule and that's this. You're predicting that they would be, 6-1 and 5-2 with Foles down the stretch?
I think that they can. I do. I think they can go 6-1, 5-2. I know that they don't play Houston again, but they do have 2 games with Indianapolis. They play Tennessee the second game back after the bye. Then they've got San Diego and Oakland. San Diego's better than their record is, but there's still, there's still some dysfunction there. Tampa Bay and Atlanta are games that if they don't win, there should be a problem. I really believe that the quarterback play is what's going to make this team better, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went 5-2. 5-2, 9 wins, they have an outside shot at making the playoffs. If they, by some miracle, get 6-1, they should be in the playoffs. But it depends on what breaks down, in the AFC. AFC East will have 2 teams. New England and Buffalo should be there. I'm curious to see what happens out west. Is if San Diego somehow goes on a win streak, they're the second team in the playoffs. So Jacksonville would definitely have to beat the Chargers to better their chances. And honestly, don't count the Raiders out yet. For some reason, they're playing really good football, and John Gruden has that team headed in the right direction as well.
All right. Well, we do need a little geography lesson. Okay, you and everybody else is San Diego. It is the LA.
Did I say it?
Yeah.
Can we just call them the London Chargers and just be done with that?
Oh, that's a loaded deck. Good comeback.
By the way, that's the next conversation we have next week. That's the next conversation we have next week. I need to do some homework on that. What the possibility is of another team going to London and hurting the Jaguars.
You can do that financially. I'm giving you free reign, Mr. Levin, to come up with, as long as the material's good, I'm open-minded. If I bring a guy like Xavier McKnight for the real and the rare, I'm letting him talk about Maryland, Popeye's chicken. Now I'll let you come up with what you want to talk about. A couple other things. You talk about the run game. Sure. It's good. And the only thing that was really lacking, basically, is some diversity. Because outside of Fournette, I think what has to happen with Jacksonville is Raquel Armstead has to really be able to spell him from time to time and look good doing it.
The thing that concerns me about Foles coming back is he's a statue. He's 6'6", he's 240. He's a statue in the pocket. At least Minshew was able to move around and could get you, 5 or 6 yards when he needed it. Armstead he's a big kid. Tough, strong. He's built kind of like Fournette.
Right.
He's a little bit more shifty. And then there's nothing else. There's nobody else there. They let Alfred Blue, they released from the injured reserve list.
Right.
So you've got basically a 2-back offense, and then you supplement a tight end as your fullback every once in a while. If either one of them go down, the offense is shot.
That's true.
Just completely. And I don't see them picking up anybody off the, I take that back. Tyler Ervin is there, but he's only been used as a return man.
Right.
So, they're just not using the running back. They're using Fournette in all capacity. He's their third down back. He's caught passes out of the backfield. He's effective as can be, but let's also not run him in the ground the next 7 games.
Yeah, well, the only thing you got going for is you don't have Dave Wanstead as your coach. The way he ran Ricky Williams to the ground, but I think Doug was a little smarter than that. Obviously, we talked about the run defense being a little bit better in the middle of that defense. Why don't you comment on that?
I'm curious to see. We talked a little bit about how they've been exposed, but at times they've also played very well. You saw that when they played against Cincinnati and they played against the Jets.
Right.
I'm not going to say they played tremendously well against Kamara because I'm going to say that's a wash against New Orleans. He was hurt. But when they're on and everybody isn't injured, the run defense is better. They just have to get healthy in the middle of the line. Taven Bryan has played a lot better against the run this year. I understand that Marrone believes that all the players who are not on IR should be able to go when they come back. I know Dede Westbrook is still a possible question mark, but if they get their linebackers back, especially Quincy Williams, on the weak side, the middle of the defense should be much better so that if running backs do get to the second level, there'll be more closure and not as much open space up the middle.
Yeah, I think everything has gone full circle, though, and we talk about the quarterback situation again, which we have another 4 minutes to go. I think that when I look at Nick Foles, he'll get that vertical passing game going a lot more with that deep threat, whereas Gardner Minshew is one of those kinds of guys that can improvise on the fly and make plays and extend the play pretty well. So I'll be curious to see over the next several weeks what you really do have with Nick Foles, because obviously he's proven to do it with a lot of different teams anyhow. And the reason why they moved on from Blake Bortles is you wanted a guy that could do well in the postseason and establish that deep passing game.
The one thing the one thing that I want to see is I want Nick Foles to come out in the first drive and lead the team down the field and score. That's one thing that we haven't seen a lot of this year, where unless they're playing a team that is a weaker team, and they're still having problems with that. Heck, they had problems with that against Cincinnati and the New York Jets, but they've also shown at times where they're able to take the ball in certain situations and scoring drives and just march down the field. We need to do that at the beginning of the game.
Right.
If Foles comes in and is on target and he hits DJ for, a 30-yard gain and then is able to hit Connolly in the back of the end zone and the passing game is working, then maybe we can exhale a little bit. I think everything will be okay.
Yeah, again, it'll be interesting to see how he practices with the first team coming back next week. It's good that they have a week off, try to get their bodies in sync. Allows Doug Marrone to see what he's got. So, I'll be curious to see how they make out the rest of the year. And, I'll be busy myself a lot with this team in the month of December. I'm figuring 3 or 4 games with my expectation to go to Atlanta. And I might even considering maybe going up there for Indianapolis yet. I'm not sure for the Jackson game. I'm waffling like Brett Farr does. So, so I would say that Indianapolis is totally out of the question.
It's too cold for me.
What's that?
I said it's too cold for me. Us Florida boys want to stay where it's warm.
Well, I'm talking about if I go to Indianapolis, the Indianapolis game on my birthday is what I'm talking about.
Well, then you should go to that.
On that one.
You should go to that.
Well, I have to see if I get any Red Wings mix or Jaguars love. I don't know, but at least I got.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to see what happens.
Nice.
It'll be tough turning 57 knowing I have such a tough decision like that. But
I know it's really tough.
But I will say this though, I am looking forward to seeing that Atlanta Stadium though. I heard it's
nice.
You been there?
It is. Yes, I have. It's very nice. Actually, I was in there and I actually got a tour of it before it opened. That place is nice. It's very nice. Yeah, you're going to Atlanta?
Oh yeah, I'm going through there twice.
All right, I will be there. I will be there as well. But it's a nice stadium. It's much better than the football team. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Well, the only thing we won't get that day will be any Chick-fil-A as they close it at the game.
I know. I was going to actually say that. Hey, by the way, you're a Tigers fan, so I'll just throw this at you real quick. And I know you're such a historian as far as baseball goes.
I'm not a fan of anything. I'm a writer, but go ahead.
Yeah, I know. Okay, in '87 when they won the World Series.
Oh, 84.
84.
84. Is it 84?
The playoffs.
Right, that's right. 84 when they won the World Series, and they made the late season trade with Atlanta for Doyle Alexander.
Yeah, I don't need to hear that.
That was actually Smoltz was traded.
Thank you. I was going to ask who's the pitcher? Who's the pitcher they traded for?
John Smoltz. That was 87.
Yeah, 87. Okay, so I was right on the date. Okay,
but
you stole my thunder, Lewis. Thank you.
Don't need reminders of that, but you did it anyways. No problem. I'll just make it harder for you when we do this broadcast up there on December 1st.
Okay, that's very cool. Just bring it, okay?
I will.
All right, cool.
I will. Don't worry.
Right, thank you, guys.
Long before we do that broadcast, we'll be doing it again on Tuesday. So see what kind of hay you can bring us, okay, for next Tuesday.
I will.
We'll get it there. All right, buddy?
We'll definitely talk about the implications of another team in London. I know that's going to be one of the topics. And then on Monday they come back for practice. So I'll let you know what's going on with the press conference from Marrone. I don't think we talk to Foles until Wednesday. So maybe we do a preview of that as well.
I need you to do me one favor when we go to a press conference, and I ask Doug